What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Dolphins In Depth podcast. I'm Daniel Oyefusi. That's David J. Neal. Thanks so much for tuning in. Quick reminder, make sure you subscribe to the Miami Herald YouTube page, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Um, it has been an active past few days for the Miami Dolphins, who played their second preseason game last Saturday, a 15-13 loss at Hard Rock Stadium to the Las Vegas Raiders. On Tuesday, the team cut its roster from 85 to 80 players. Some injury news down there. Not too many surprises with the cuts, but again, some interesting injury news that we'll kind of dive into later. And then coming up, a pair of joint practices with the Philadelphia Eagles ahead of the preseason finale at Hard Rock this coming Saturday. But we're going to start with, like I said first, the second preseason game, which marked the first time that we saw a lot of notable players, a lot of starters who sat out the first preseason game. They made their debut, most notably quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So we got to see Tua in this new offense under Mike McDaniel. Played a couple series, two series, threw a couple passes, led the offense to a field goal on the second drive. In total, it was a short-lived debut, but a debut nonetheless. He finished 6 of 8 for 58 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but like I said, 3 points on that second drive before he kind of ceded the rest of the playing time to Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. But I want to start, David, with that. What did you think of it? Again, it was pretty short. Did you leave Tua's debut encouraged, discouraged, or just kind of feeling the same about the offense in 2022?
It's with so many players not playing, and it is, the Raiders were, I don't know who they really had in the
They
field.
left like 20 guys in Las Vegas. A quarter of the team didn't even make the trip.
Yeah, they clearly didn't give a good damn. So so it's hard to draw any conclusions about that. He didn't throw any interceptions, didn't turn the ball over.
No egregious, throws, nothing terrible that make no low lights, no low lights.
Right. You would have liked to, even though you're not dealing with your personnel and probably even your whole scheme, and you're playing against the scrubs of a team that you hope that you are definitely better than.
Yeah.
You kind of would have liked to see them stick it in the end zone.
Yeah.
And
they had an opportunity. They had a 4th and 1. Well, they had a 2nd and 1, and then they couldn't run the ball 2 straight plays. And then they had the 4th and 1, and Larnell Coleman, the left tackle, jumps a little early, so they have to settle for a field goal. So he did drive them down, but like you said, right. you would like to see some more points.
And that's another thing why you can't, to blame, pointing fingers at a quarterback can sometimes be just so overrated. Joe Theismann a generation ago, when he was in his announcing days, saying to me one time, we're talking, he said, the quarterback is the most dependent person on the field. He said, I depend on everybody else. Everybody thinks I've got this great control. He said, but I'm depending on everybody else to do their job. And if somebody doesn't do their job, then, I'm screwed. I look bad. And, the final result looks bad and everybody looks at me. So, that it was about what the best you could expect for
a short debut,
a quick short debut, and he didn't get hurt, which is always a worry with Tua.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it a lot in the preseason and in training camp, the injury factor, the fact that he has missed some time, but that was good as well. I think that this entire summer for McDaniel has been about just getting to week 1 as healthy as possible. They had some guys coming back from injuries, some vets who they're really being very careful about. Teron Armstead didn't play. He hasn't played at all. Like you said, Jalen Waddle has been held out for the past week with a soft tissue type injury, it looks like. Tyreek Hill, I think that was the major surprise, though. Tyreek Hill didn't play. I saw him warming up. He looked like he had his pads on and he was ready to play. And then they go out for the introduction, and the team comes back out, and he's in some shorts and just wearing the jersey. And I'm like, He's not playing in that, is he? So that was a little bit of a bummer. But again,
yeah. Mike probably said, I don't want to
That's what it sounds like. I mean, Mike was like, Mike McDaniel was like, hey, we went to the last minute on some of these guys, and I just decided to keep them out. So I mean, I would have liked to see Tyreek in there just to get the some of the further camaraderie and the rapport.
Right.
We've seen it in training camp, and these guys will tell you, oh, preseason is just an extension of practice, but it is a little different when the lights are on. And I know even Tuesday, McDaniel was saying that he kind of likes and he thinks that the practices are better evaluation periods because you can kind of dictate the terms. And I agree with him. I'm not going to argue with a head coach that has as much knowledge as him, but I kind of view it the other way where, I want to see what happens when, stuff just is just thrown at you and you're not expecting. I want to see what happens when you're in the line of fire and you have no clue what's about to happen and how can you react and respond to that. So it would have been nice to see Tyreek there, but like you said, I think that for the 2 series, the 8 passes that he threw. Obviously, we're going to get into the O-line and the running game and stuff like that. But if you just kind of silo it and kind of just hone in on Tua, right. I thought it was solid. And one thing that also kind of stood out to me and it kind of got a lot of buzz on social media was I'm not sure if you saw it, but this video of Tua like 5 hours before the game started, and he's at Hard Rock by himself, and he has a play sheet, and he's just visualizing and going through the plays 5 hours before the game even starts. And that was something that McDaniel had spoken about. And he had some really interesting comments. I don't have it verbatim, but he essentially said that that wasn't from what he heard, that wasn't necessarily Tua's MO to he said work outside the framework of the work hours. So not to right. necessarily put as much work in before they clock in after you clock out. And I know that even through last year, that was some of the concerns and of Brian Flores and others, that maybe Tua's not putting in as much work as he needs to be the best quarterback that he can be. And then when I spoke to the quarterbacks coach Darrell Bevel a couple of days ago, he said, yeah, like I've worked with Matthew Stafford, I've worked with Russell Wilson, I've worked with a lot of really great quarterbacks, and I've told him some of the stories of what they did and what they've done to really go above and beyond and making sure that they're prepared. So I mean, I thought that was very very notable that to that shot of Tua alone in Hard Rock and he's just visualizing the plays, and it's like it's only a preseason game too, but the fact that he did that, I thought that was kind of important for his growth.
Yeah, and if there's, I would think if there's questions about your work ethic, and obviously the fact that the quarterback's coach felt the need, as you talk to him, mentions that and mentions it to him. Yeah, that, then you have to take that to heart and say, well, maybe there's something to that, and let's do something about that. And yeah, there's only, we know about the quarterbacks who come out and throw the passing tree and everything, and to come out before a preseason game and visualize and everything. That's it's something extra. It's something, yeah, it is something more. It's something outside, the set boundaries. How much does it help in a preseason game when you're about to go against Slappy McSlappy, from the Raiders, and you yourself are going to be surrounded by kind of a jambalaya of, guys who are going to be here and guys who are going to be elsewhere, and the guys who are going to be nowhere. And, but one thing that popped in my mind as I was working on some of the stuff for our football sections, I wasn't real happy to see Teddy Bridgewater take that safety. I mean, this is exactly
his finest moment.
That's exactly why you have Teddy Bridgewater on this team, so he doesn't take that safety.
Yeah.
Like that's something you expect Skyler to do, okay? And you're thinking, okay, well, who cares? It's a preseason game. It's Teddy's the backup to Tua. Yeah, exactly. Teddy's the backup to Tua,
and he's one play away from being the starter. And you want to see
you don't want to see that. Track record says he's one play somewhere this season from playing games.
Yeah,
that's Tua's. That's what's on the record, and passes off in prologue, or we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater at some point this season. And, I was just like,
yeah,
really?
it was not. It definitely was not what you wanted to see from your veteran backup quarterback. I will say, if I can kind of play devil's advocate and defend Teddy there, I will say that McDaniel, first off, he took blame for what he called a horrendous play call, because that was the play that Gesicki initially missed one of his blocks, and then the other defender just rushed in, and there was no hope for taking that play. And I will say, to his credit, after that he kind of settled down. I thought he made some really really good throws, and I thought that, I mean, in my opinion, he kind of reminded people why he's quarterback too. I know there's a lot of love for Skylar Thompson right now, who played great again in that second preseason game, but I thought Teddy was very very solid as well, and he showed.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that's the best way to describe him. He's solid.
He's
He's
solid.
not he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's not, a bottom 30, a bottom 5 quarterback. He's not one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He's a fringe starter. He's a serviceable starter and a backup who can hold the fort down if asked to do so. And I thought that, in his limited time after that safety, I thought he really did lead the offense pretty well.
Yeah, Teddy's. I mean, I don't know. He's Chipotle. I mean,
I like Chipotle. I like Chipotle.
Yeah, well, he's Chipotle.
He's serviceable. He gets the
Yeah,
job done.
exactly. Gets you through the night, or Pollo Tropical, or I don't know, Pizza Hut pizza. That's what Teddy is.
I don't know about
And
Pizza Hut. He might be a Pizza Hut might be a little on the lower tier,
no,
but I get the point.
that's where he is. That's where he is.
I'm talking about pizza. I'm saying what Pizza Hut is. Nah, Pizza Hut, you got to drop that down. It's not. It doesn't get the job done.
Oh! Pizza Hut definitely gets the
Pizza Hut
job
doesn't
done.
get the job done.
Yes, it does.
I'm a Domino's guy. So maybe that's.
Oh,
yes. I'm a
you
Domino's guy.
you have no call. Okay, Domino's. No. I mean,
Domino's has improved the quality of their pizza over the years.
Domino's. Okay,
I've stood behind Domino's since I was in middle school. Well, Domino's in my mind is, it's up there, but that's beside the point.
No, wait. Tonight, when these other folks on the and the rest of the Herald are ordering pizza to celebrate election night and doing the stuff the sports writers do all the time, when they order their pizza, if they order it, the Herald's they're going to pay for it. If anybody orders Domino's, they need to be kept away from the food ordering at the next party.
Well, good thing I'm not on the Metro side, because we would have had some issues if y'all order pizza. Y'all not trying
no. Pizza. I'm getting pizza. I'm getting pizza rustica. I'm not even doing the Pizza Hut. Okay, Pizza Hut is fine. It gets you through the night. You get points. That's what Teddy is. Okay, that's what Teddy is. But yeah, he's. And that's where he needs to be, and he is, and for all the love, everybody can love Skylar all they want. He's a third quarterback in this situation, because if he is your second quarterback, no, you're going to get your butt handed to you.
Those
games.
There's a lot of love for Skylar right now, and it's warranted. And I do think that they should keep him as a third quarterback on this roster.
Right.
But again, I think that at some point, once you get into those, I mean, the preseason is different, man. I mean, once you start playing against legitimate defenses, it's like you want that. I think that's where you see the experience will definitely show up if you ever get to that point with Teddy versus Skylar. One thing I want to touch on before we take a quick break, the offensive line. So after three projected week 1 starters played a little bit in the first preseason game, Connor Williams joined the starting lineup. Teron Armstead, like I said, was left out. So you have 4 projected week 1 starters that were playing with Tua. Did not look very good. I think the offense had about 4 yards in those first couple drives, or first 2 drives with Tua in there. They finished with just about 38 yards on 17 carries, just not what you'd like to see. Tua's downplaying it. McDaniel's downplaying it. Coaches and players are downplaying it. But yeah, I mean, me personally, I think that this is going to be a problem. I mean, I've been seeing this in training camp for about a month now. And the Dolphins have a good defense. But they did struggle against the run last year at times. They struggled against that particular outside zone run. So when I saw the defense really, really lock down on it, I was like, I don't know. I know Armstead is a great left tackle when he's healthy. But I mean, hey, you had 4 guys in there last Saturday. You couldn't really move guys around. Armstead can't block 4 guys on the offensive line. I am starting to get worried about that. I mean, one thing I'll say is I think the pass protection has actually been a pleasant surprise. We're not seeing Tua have to like run for his life, or he looked like he could actually get through his progressions on Saturday. But the offensive line, how much concern do you have for that unit right now?
A lot. Well, yeah, but it's concerning. But then again, what did we say? What did we say 2 weeks ago? I think we said it last week too, that a run game is the last to come together. And it's going to take the longest time to come together. And, new scheme, new combination. It's going to take some time for them to come together and for them to, just coalesce and do whatever. But you'd like to see more progress in preseason.
And real quick, you talking about they didn't have, the Raiders didn't have their starting. They didn't have Max Crosby. They didn't have, I think it was
right. They didn't have they
had the B and C team out there.
For exactly.
The Dolphins running pretty much their starting offensive line.
Right. They're right. They're playing the JV, and the Dolphins had their starters, and they weren't going anywhere. It was the Palmetto at 5:00, and
I've been on that several times. I take the Palmetto every time they get up to training camp. I mean to the facility. I gotta leave by 3 because if not, that joint ain't moving.
Yeah, exactly, and that's pretty much what the Dolphin running game looks like. So yeah, it's concerning. It's we knew it was going to be slow, but you want to see more than that by now. And Tua and McDaniel aren't gonna. The new coach coming in is not gonna blast the group to the media. The quarterback third-year quarterback who this is his pivotal year, and he needs these guys to keep his butt off the turf or out of the hospital. He's not gonna take him verbally whip them in front of the media. So of course they're gonna say no problem, remain calm, all is well. No, they're getting stampeded. And so yeah, that's a problem. And it kind of makes me wonder, what do you do this third preseason game? I mean, you want to everybody else wants to keep everybody, all the stars and everything on the sidelines, fanning themselves and chilling and playing playing euchre on the their phones or whatever. But can you really afford that? And can you afford to go into real games when you have no track record of success, either in practice or in these pitch battles? You need some feel good somewhere. I mean, how are you going to feel good going in opening day if you haven't done it on any day? So
yeah, I mean that's going to be the question for McDaniel. I mean, we asked him on Tuesday. He said he hasn't. We got to ride the process out and see how the team does this week. Obviously, they have joint practices, 2 practices with the Eagles, and that'll probably tell a lot or give him a good indication of like who he wants to play and how long. But that is a fair question because again, a lot of the main players on that new offense have not seen the field in preseason yet. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. We're going to take a short break. But when we come back on the side of things, we're going to talk about Mike Gesicki. Yeah, one of the most polarizing players on the team right now had a rough outing on Saturday. What do they do with him? And the defense. You're concerned about the defense after another corner was lost for the season. We're going to talk about all that on the other side of things. So stay locked with us. What's going on, everybody? Still here on the Dolphins In Depth podcast with David Neal, talking all things Dolphins. And David, one thing I wanted to hit on as well from last game was Mike Gesicki, who was a very interesting topic. He's been an interesting topic, really all offseason through the summer with his transition to this new scheme, doing some things that he hasn't been asked to do previously. And we talked about last week him playing, being one of few starters to play in the preseason opener. So this week or this past weekend, he plays with the starters, but after the starters are taken out, he plays well into the first half. He plays through the entire first half, and even the first play of the second half. I think he played 25 snaps in total compared to Tua's 12 or 13. It was not really a great day for him. 6 targets, 3 catches, but some miscommunications on the passes, some missed blocks. Like we said before, he had a missed block that led or resulted or played a factor, I should say, in Teddy Bridgewater's safety. And after the game, McDaniel supported him, Tua supported him, and Gesicki, admitted, I'm pretty much learning a new position. Like, this is a brand new position for me. I'm lining up as a tight end instead of a receiver. I need all the reps. But I think that this performance or this, this outing this past week can kind of revitalize the questions of like where Gesicki really lies on this team. Is he worth keeping on this team? And after the first game, it was only 9 snaps, but I was a bit encouraged about the potential for them to kind of make it work. This is an offense that asks or requires its tight ends to block. But I was kind of encouraged. I was like, he's not a great blocker, but he was kind of throwing his body in there, and he was making it work. He was making it work. I know that Gesicki did not look very particularly good this past game, but I'm at the point where it's like, and even to kind of echo McDaniel's point from when he first got hired, he said he's in the business of not looking at what guys can't do, but what they can do. And I'm kind of at the point with it where I'm like, okay, I know Gesicki has to block a little bit more than he did last year, but at what point are you just kind of forcing a round peg into a square hole? Like McDaniel's supposed to be the offensive guru. Like we got to make it work somehow. Like we got to be all into making it work, or you got to move on somehow. And I know that I don't know if they've had trade conversations, but there's been a lot of talk about whether they should or should not trade him. I'm at the point where Gesicki has to get better, but it's like he brings so much as a pass catcher that it's like at one point do we stop complaining about what he can't do and just figure a way to kind of work around him. That's what McDaniel said this offense is going to be. He said it's going to be a perfect blend of everything that's tailored to the skill set of our players. And again, I know Gesicki has to block, but it's like if you know that he's not good at something, why are you kind of forcing him to do that? Obviously, you have core tenets to the offense and whatnot, but why not just put him out there as like a slot wide receiver, a big wide receiver, and let him run his routes and occasionally block? Like, I'll put it this way. Tua has certain defined strengths and weaknesses. We'd be looking at the offense crazy, or we'd be looking at the coaches crazy if we asked them to ask Tua, or if they had Tua do something that he wasn't comfortable with. I mean, we're not, they're not going to run an offense that you'd run for Lamar Jackson with Tua, because Tua doesn't have that skill set. So at the same time, if you have a player that's supposedly as valuable, you see about as valuable as Gesicki is, why not just shift it and make it work? Again, I mean, McDaniel said this offense is about tailoring the scheme to the skill sets of the players. And I keep on saying it. I know he has to block, but it's like it seems like it's not trending well, or it's not at the point where it's like you're going to be able to function with him in this offense in his given role. So I don't know why. I don't know. I'm just at the point where it's like you got to be one way or another. You either got to make it work with what he does best, or just move off from him and move with your other guys and try to make it work that way. That's how I personally feel about it. I know we're probably going to be talking about this for the entire year, but it's like we know what the guy can't do and what he can do. Like, let's just try to get him into a role where he can do what he can do and then go from
there. There's I agree with you that probably the smart move, I think, would be, put him put him in as a slot guy, because if you keep him at his current position and knowing what the offense needs and knowing what his strengths are, eventually you're going to get to a point, sorry, where everybody and his mama in the stadium knows what you're going to do by where he is.
That's true.
Is he on the field? He's on the field? Okay.
Finish a pass.
Guess what?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
And he's not on the field. Okay, well, guess what? They might be they're decent odds on them running the ball. I mean, you would think for people getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars,
millions,
right, millions. But between all the coaching staffs, right? Yeah. But all these guys being paid a lot of money, to know you have this great depth of knowledge about this game. And sometimes it really does come down to, oh yeah, we knew what they were doing by who was on the field. And that's not knowledge that's exclusive to the people with the little logos on their shirts. Mm-hmm. If Bob in section 242 knows it, odds are the other guys do too. So sure. I don't think they're not cutting him loose, obviously. I don't think they are. That would be wouldn't that be a bit of a cap?
Well, no, because it's it's all guaranteed. The franchise tag is fully guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, it's like
So they're not cutting him loose, and I don't see, unless somebody really comes
I don't see a trade.
That's not trade happening. So now you gotta find what he does, and he's a pass catcher. Okay, fine. What's the matter with moving him further out, and he's a big wide receiver? I mean,
or you just limit his reps. I mean, or you just limit his reps, and you just say you're like a DH, you're a designated you're a DPC, a designated pass catcher. like I don't know,
when you're down, when you know that you're gonna have to throw anyway.
Then
you're in there. But I think. Is he really that much? Is he? Tight ends are a matchup problem throughout the league as it is. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's a matchup problem for a lot of corners. Yeah. If you have other teams with bigger big fast corners, which are long corners, those are the guys they're going to want on Waddle and Hill. And the guys that then who's left over,
small or slow guys, you can
so
game plan in the pass game.
Now you may be able to create a matchup problem on the outside with him. And I think there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then occasionally, you move him inside, have him play a straight tight end sometimes. And, yes, occasionally run with him in that position, do it to keep everybody honest, to keep everybody keep everybody from knowing, hey, this is what they're doing. Yeah, this offense, what McDaniel says this offense is about, that's also what good coaching is about. Mm-hmm. And so, this is a guy, he's on your roster, he has some value, figure it out.
Yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Just maximize the value as best as you can,
right.
It's just, we know we can't do something well. It's like, why? I know, and he has to improve that to an extent. But let's just stop harping on that. Let's try to make it work with what he does do best. I want to do 2 quick hits before we get out of here. So the defense also had a couple series out there. Didn't see Xavier Howard, so we saw some young guys in there for the most part. But the Dolphins lost another cornerback for the year, Mackenzie Alexander, who they just signed about a week ago. I mean, they had 3 practices and a couple snaps. He's out for the year. They placed him on IR. Starting to get really concerned about this secondary. X is X when he's in there and healthy. He's good to go. Byron Jones is still on the PUP list with lower leg surgery. They keep on saying they're hopeful for week 1, and we talked about this last week. I mean, hopeful is 2 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away. I'm starting to get very, very concerned about that secondary depth, the cornerback depth, because if you don't have good cornerbacks, I mean, we're going to see a lot of what we saw in that first drive where they just picked on somebody, a secondary, and they just drive down the field. You can have great defensive line, great safeties, great linebackers, whatever. If you don't have corners you can cover, I mean, in this league today, they're gonna pick you apart. Real quick, just what do you think about that right now?
It's a problem when the guy you signed to, shore up this position, and the guy who, as we said last week, we said, yeah, they can tell us what they want about Byron Jones, but signing Mackenzie Alexander says what they really think about Byron Jones, and then that guy goes down and gets injured for the season. Ooh, yeah, you might need to take some chickens over into Little Havana and get some cleansing done on the position, maybe.
It was bad, man. They were dropping like flies last game. I mean, Needham went out for a little bit. I think somebody else, Kadir Kohu or somebody. Oh no, Keon Crossan went out for a little bit. Now he's day to day. They were just dropping like flies. They were about to put me out there, man.
And in a league where you can't have too many good corners these days.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins really don't have enough right now. And they don't have enough to, they don't have enough to live in a division with Buffalo and with an emerging New England. And they can probably the Jets, but
maybe this year. They
can get probably the Jets. That what's his name is okay, whatever. Until they're the Jets until they're not, right?
Yeah.
But in the overall AFC, it's a tough conference, and there's a lot of, and they will find the weak point, and they will punch you in that weak point, or pass you in that weak point to more to the point until you submit. It's very worrisome because if you don't have that back end, then you've really got to devote. You've got to make sure to get to the quarterback.
Yeah,
you've got to devote everything to getting to the quarterback, which that is the most important part of your pass defense anyway. But
more so to
then it becomes just like
the end all be all.
You have to do it, and then when you have to do it, that just exposes you in so many ways to just other things that draws, screens, quick hits, whatever. It just it becomes way too big risk, big gamble, and these days, the quarterbacks are too good, the wide receivers are too good. They've been seeing a lot of this stuff since. They've been seeing a lot of things for a long time now, so they don't get as rattled. So, and you can't hit them as much, so they don't get as rattled. So, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's a
problem.
It's gonna be interesting to see if they add another veteran guy because they're just really strapped for guys right now. I mean, even the joint practices with the Eagles. I mean, they got some receivers out there, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. I think it's gonna be an interesting next 2 days for the Dolphins. Last quick hit. I know you alluded to it before, but Waddle, Teron Armstead, Tyreek, none of those guys are playing in the preseason yet. Do you want to see them at all, even for a little bit in the third preseason game, or what are you doing? Me personally, I think I'm just sitting them out, and you just kind of trust what you've done in training camp and the joint practices, and you just decide on the air of caution right now. That's me personally, but real quick, what do you think?
I'd like to see them, but the way things are trending as far as injuries and everything else, it's just you want to see him, but then it's okay. Look, let's just let him work through it. What the hell? Yeah. And it's 17 games. Maybe if it takes them till game 3 to really get their vibes going, okay, fine.
Take that over.
Maybe your defense, gets you through, and your defense, your strength. Maybe they get you through, long enough for the offense to
really gelling,
come together, and the offense can give you just enough, and you can eat happily.
Yeah. I agree. Just err on the side of caution. And McDaniel alluded to that. I think that I'd be surprised if we saw any of those guys. So might have to wait till week 1 to really see this offense in its completeness. But hey, you'd rather have the guys. They say the best availability. The best ability is availability.
So first ability is availability.
Exactly. So you'll take that. But that brings us to the end of another edition of the Dolphins In Depth podcast. We'll be back next week to recap the last preseason game, roster cut downs, all that good stuff. Like I said, subscribe, share, like, comment, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.